Hey guys, I don't know if you can hear us. Let us know in the comments or in the chat, and then you guys can, say hey. Good morning, Sean.
Hi.
Let's see. I think so far we have 38 people live with us right now.
Nice.
So hopefully everyone can hear us. Hey, Jay. I think that was good morning from Toronto, Mimo. to meme.
I
Oh,
just
yeah,
want
everyone's
to,
coming in. Hi,
yeah,
Gage. Hi, Jason. Good morning, Christy. We have Don, Jacob, Debbie, Candace. It's going to be a packed one. We have a good morning from Arizona. Good morning from Montreal. Javid's in Toronto as well. Perfect. We're going to give it a couple more minutes just to have people enter the webinar and we'll get started. I don't know, Eliano, do you want to try sharing your screen just to make sure it works?
Yeah, let me just turn this on. Okay, so
Hi, Sid. Hi, Roger. Hi, Sandy.
just let you know that from now on I cannot see the chat. Okay.
Yep. Ooh, good afternoon from Greece. Hi, Jesse. That's really cool. Yeah, we're getting people from all over the world. Okay, we'll give it like another minute, I'd say. And then we'll get started. Yeah, and I can see your screen. I don't know if you want to enlarge it, like go full screen.
Yeah, let me just click on present.
Or I don't know if it's easier to show inFlow. It depends. It's up to you.
It's good. Then we can just finish the presentation and go to the demo and go to inFlow.
And then Javid says it's everything's perfect. We can hear you, so that's great. Hopefully you can see us as well. Good morning, guys. Okay. Eliana, you ready? Should we get started?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, hey guys, as you might know, we're doing a webinar today on optimizing your asset tracking workflow. It's going to be me and Eliana today. Eliana's going to be the main lead for today's webinar. I'll just be assisting. I'll be, reading chats and adding some extra info. My name's Katia. I've been on the CSI team now, I think, for 7 months. So it's still fairly new, but, definitely getting the hang of everything. And this is actually my second webinar. You guys might have watched my last one. We were doing retail workflows and you got to see a little bit about that. But today we're going to be doing specifically asset tracking. And Eliana's going to do some demos for us. But yeah, I don't know. Eliana, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Just to start, I'd really like to thank all of you because we had to postpone this webinar. It was supposed to happen last week, but due to injury, we had to postpone it to this week. So I really appreciate that you're here. Also to mention that I've been in the company for 4 months, so I'm pretty much new in the company. I'm still discovering a lot of things about inFlow. I will try to give you some tips on how you can manage assets, different ways to manage assets. And it's pretty much it. And actually, I've been working from the remote team, so I'm in Portugal. I'm not in Toronto, like Katia is. So we have pretty much it. We started 4 months ago as a remote team, me and Nuria. So you might have heard about Nuria as well. She did a webinar before, and it's pretty much it.
Yeah, Eliano gets the better office technically, even though we're all working remote, but he has the best scenery. I think all of us in Toronto were kind of jealous of it. But as well as you guys might expect, Eliano speaks Portuguese and you speak Spanish, right?
Yeah, actually, English is my third language, so I'm really apologize for any misuse word or whatever. I really apologize for that.
No, I mean, hey, you know 3 languages, so I think that's pretty great. And I don't know if you want to say hello in Portuguese, and just in case we have anyone.
Okay. So hello would be hola.
Oh, it'd be hola, really?
Yeah, and in the afternoon, we could say right now here in Portugal, it's 4 p.m. So it would be boa tarde,
Okay.
and pretty much it.
Boa tarde, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you get started.
Okay, so pretty much right now, you have already introduced yourselves, but if you can tell us a little bit more about your company, the company that you're managing, running, so we can get to know a little bit more about you. You can write on chat, comment on chat would be just pretty much so you can get to know a little bit more about you and your company. Okay.
And I'll kind of read out the chats as we go along. So as people respond, yeah, let us know what kind of business you guys have. I know Debbie says she owns and manages a material handling manufacturing business. So that's great. And you're going to have different assets to track within that. So yeah, you guys can keep writing in the chats. Jared, he's a production supervisor for Diamond Decon Slidell, Louisiana. Let's see if we get any more. I think people will kind of respond as we go through it, but I think you can get started with the next.
Okay, just want to mention that Tamim is also moderating the chats as well, so just so you guys know. And it's pretty much it. So let's just get started with today's webinar that, as Katia mentioned in the beginning, is regarding tracking assets. We're gonna get through why should we track assets or not, why it's important to your company to keep tracking of assets, and we're gonna go through different examples. One we call standard. Will be pretty much using inFlow as it comes when you install it in your computer, so you don't have to customize anything and just use all the features that you have. And then we're going to move to a different scenario in which you can actually customize inFlow, like rename fields, use the reports to get to know more about the cost of your tracking of your assets. I'm sorry, it's pretty much it. I don't know if you want to run the first pool right now.
Yeah, of course. So we're just kind of curious to see how long you guys have been using inFlow for. So right now it's either less than 6 months, more than 6 months, just to get an idea of how much information you know about inFlow, you know, how comfortable you guys feel, if you feel confident using the system. I mean, like we said before, Eliano's going to do a demo for us for the different scenarios. So you'll be able to see how he does it and how he uses the workflow. But, you know, it'll also give us an idea of how much explanation we need to put into the demos and how, you know, slowly we should take it. So right now, I think we're still getting some responses. So far, it's 52% for less than 6 months and then 48% for more than 6 months. So it's almost half.
Yeah.
We have slightly less than 6 months, so maybe we will go a tiny bit slower on the demo then.
Sure. So we can just focus more because we're going to set up some products as well. We have already set up a database, but we're going to create a product. We can create a location in which we'll use as employees as well. So you can do it more slowly and we can actually see it, how to do it. It's pretty much it. So you can just adapt the content to your needs. So the first topic that we're going to go through is why track assets actually, because for some business it's actually important to track assets because you get to know what do you actually have, where do you have it, because you can just ask it to an employee how much it costs, those assets, and you can even use inFlow to, if you feel that it's a good thing for a company, to set a reorder point as we do it on the inventory. Imagine that you want to have on your office always like 2 or 3 computers not associated to anyone. So if you have a new employee and you want to actually get to know that you only have 1 computer left, you can set up that on inFlow and you can get a notification, so you can actually create a purchase order and buy a new computer. So the first scenario would be tracking assets, as we mentioned before, would be for a standard tracking asset. So we have a company that's called SkateWriter we just created. It's pretty much a scenario in which the team works remotely. They meet at the office twice a week. There are a company that also uses inFlow for inventory purposes. So they have a lot of stuff for the different skateboards and other material that they use to create the skateboards. And they don't want to have costs associated to their assets. Okay, we're going to separate things here. They don't want to have costs associated to their assets. So when running reports, they don't get that information in the middle. And at SkateWriter, they want to make sure that they know who has that specific computer, who has that phone, where that phone, or who used that phone before. If they need to repair a device that just for whatever reason is not working at this moment, they might need to use the serial numbers. So we're going to see how they can do it. And it's pretty much what I mentioned before. We're going to set up a few products, locations. We're going to create a purchase order so we can add unities to our inventory, to our assets. And we are actually going to see them also, an example of a product with serial numbers. Okay, let's just move on to the demo. And let me know if I'm going too fast or not, because I might get a little bit nervous and I might tend to speak a little more faster than I should. So just to start, this is inFlow Cloud, as you can see it. Let's just click here on inventory. As I know that some of you are fairly new, just so you can know that you have different ways to access to a lot of features. You can either click here and go to the product list, or you can also click on the hamburger menu, go to inventory, and then product list. And we're going to see here a few products that I've already set up. We're just going to filter them by office material. I'm just going to explain what it is because I've already created the database for both companies. So right now we're going to focus on SkateWriter, and they have, as I mentioned, an office in which the employees only go twice a week. So they pretty much have much of the material at their own houses, at their own places. So I've created a USB flash drive, a Surface Book, printers, and other stuff that they might use. Just as an example, I created this USB flash driver. When I created the product, I set up the item as stocked product. It is important to be aware that you cannot change this product right away, the item type, I'm sorry. If you just by mistake created a stock product and you wanted a serialized product, let's imagine that instead of USB would be a computer or a mobile phone, and you wanted to actually use the serial number on it, then you had to deactivate the product and duplicate this one, okay? So you know just how kind of work around through it. The category I just selected as office material, so I can know that it's something related regarding the office, because as I mentioned before, keep in mind that the company is also using inFlow to inventory purposes. So for them, it's good to know that they have kind of a category in which they have all the assets, so to speak. So I created the category office material. You can just pretty much click here. This is how you can just create a category. I'm just going through step by step so you can see, because some of you are new. I would just name it whatever I want, click OK, and it would be automatically added here. In this case, we don't need it because I've already created before. As I mentioned, we don't want any price, any cost associated, so it's $0. And in this case, I've already created a stock transfer. So mainly, I had all the unities here at office. This is the location that I use as kind of a warehouse, if you want to have it that way. And then I created different locations that are the employees. I created Alicia, Kelly, Justin, Luke. And then I created a stock transfer or transfer stock to move those unities from office to the employees. We're going to go through that in a few minutes. If you want to know how to create a different location, imagine that you just hired a different someone. Just click here. Let's imagine that we just hired, I don't know, Katia started work there today. Wait, I'm sorry. Let's create it here, Katia. Well, actually it didn't create because I didn't add any unit. Let's just create it through here. Katia, we can just save and close. Now it's here. I can just actually, instead of create a stock transfer, I can just manually make that movement as well. So instead of 26, I have 25, and that would be saved. And I can move the unities from here, or creating a stock transfer. This would be on a standard product in which we don't have any serial number or any other thing related. Also important or good to know might be the movement history, in which you can see whoever had this product before. So you can see to see which is the older date. Okay, so we create a purchase order in which we bought 30 units. Okay, so then we create a stock transfer of -4 unities, which added 1 unity, to each of the employees. And then I manually move it, and which created a stock transfer as well, and remove the unity from the office and added 1 to Katia. This is one way of doing things. Go ahead.
Sorry, Roger is just saying you're starting with 25 and now showing 30. So it's actually 30 from the bottom.
Yeah.
So that would be the first purchase order when Eliana brought in the items. And then it's actually going to show you from 30 going upwards. So there was a deduction of 4 because it went through a stock transfer, and that stock went to one of the already existing employees. And so it's going to subtract that way. But Roger's saying, shouldn't that be subtracting the inventory showing 20 left?
I'm sorry, 20 left?
Give me a second. I'm sorry. If we start from 30, we'll subtract the 4, so it does go to 26. And it's the reason you might be seeing the different quantities is because it's by different locations. So, Eliano, if you want to just show only the office location. So in the location field, if we actually go back to movement history.
Okay.
Yeah. And then in the location at the top, where we're going to filter for the location.
Okay.
If you want to just show the office, because right now it's showing all our locations, and that might be a bit confusing. Okay. But in here, you can just see this by location. So we can see that we created a purchase order. This was done before because Eliano had put some information into the system. So he created a purchase order where he bought 30 items. And then he did a stock transfer because he was transferring it to the employees, so the other locations. So it went from 30 to, so subtracted 4, went to 26. And then he just moved one of the inventory as well. So it went from 26 to 25 in the office location. Now, if you were to change the location field to one of the other staff members, so whether it be Alicia, you'll be able to see that her quantity went from 0 to 1 because it was transferred from the office location. So I don't know if that kind of makes a little bit more sense. But if you don't have any locations selected, it's actually going to show you all of them. So if we were to erase everything in there, yep, just like Eliana's, and then click refresh, we'll be able to see it on every single location. So again, this might be a little bit confusing for some people, and especially when you have a lot of different movements. So you can actually categorize it by the location and then the sub-location. So you can filter it there, and it will bring it down so it's a little bit just condensed, and you can see just by that particular location. So I think that might help out. Does that answer the question, Roger?
And just in case it helps as well, if it's easy to see or to read the numbers, you can also check the stock transfer as number, because you can see that even though here is -1 and here is +1,111, all those movements belong to the same stock transfer. I don't know if you know what I mean, but it's easy to kind of keep tracking that movement. It's the same. -4 is related with this +1. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it probably is a little bit more confusing just because Eliano, when he was setting this up to do this demo, he was doing some practice work, so it hasn't been shown yet. So I don't know if, Eliano, if you go to the product info page, we can see that right now we have 25 in the office, right? Sorry, my eyes are bad. 25 in the office, and then 1 for Alicia, Kelly, Justin, Luke, and me, Katia. And then I don't know if you want to do another stock transfer.
Sure, we can actually
show how that changes.
Sure, we can actually do it through the stock transfer menu as well, because we'd go pretty much once again to the hamburger menu, inventory, then to transfer stock. Then it was the USB. Okay, I was just thinking about the USB. I have some filter here. I think so. No, yeah.
If you want to, yeah, there you go.
USB is here. So we want to move only 1 unit. Okay, it's in the office. We had 25 before, or right now we have 25. And we want to move 1 more to Alicia. Alicia has 1 right now, and you can see the current status right here, the quantities that we have in each location. I'm sorry. So we're just going to move 1 from this location, office, to Alicia. So Alicia is going to have 2 unities, two USBs. Okay, let's just send a transfer, receive transfer. So Alicia is now receiving the USB. And if we go through the product, I can just open one more USB. Let me just filter so it's easier. And now we see that we have 24 unities belong to Alicia. Alicia has 2 units, and the other ones remain the same.
And then do you want to show the movement history now, how that has changed as well?
Sure. So it's the same stock transfer, 06, and 25 minus 1, 24, and this one was added here.
Yeah, so you're going to see that there's first stock transfer, since we're doing 2 interactions, so an interaction between the office and an interaction with Alicia, there's going to be 2 line entries. One is going to subtract and the other one is going to add to the other location. But again, like Debbie mentioned in the comments, you can see by the matching order numbers, so that's going to help you out, or the matching stock transfer numbers, because you're going to know which stock transfer that was on. And if you ever need to refer back to it, you could always find that stock transfer just to see where it's gone. So again, if we go back to the transfer stock tab, we can look up all the previous stock transfers and see what's happened within them. So you can see, again, these are just the ones that Eliano has done before when he was doing his testing.
Okay. So okay, let me just move back to, I was just showing you all the different products. Okay, so let me just move to the main tab. So we were seeing that we have different products here. They are all pretty much the same, our standard products. Never mind here the repair service. We might go through it if we have time. We have a printer paper. You have a printer itself, phone, share. Before we go through the serialized products, we're just going to create a different product. We're going to add a new product, actually, I'm sorry, so you can see how to do it. So let's imagine that we're going to have, I don't know, desk. We're going to select the item type as stock product, okay. There's no need to add a description or photo. I added on the previous ones, but right now it's just going to, doesn't make sense. So we're just going to have and create a product just like it. Okay, save it. And imagine that we want to add new unities to our inventory. We can use inFlow to create a purchase order, and we can just right away click on buy, on the icon buy, and we're going to get through the purchase order, and the item is already here. And we're going to need to select a vendor. If we don't have a vendor, we can create one right away here if it's a new vendor, for instance. But I've already created a new vendor. So in this case would be office and business supplier. I would just select here. This will be automatically fulfilled. All the information here is not, it was just something that I came up with. So this is pretty much it. Let's gonna change it for, I don't know, 20 units. Okay. And let's just save it. We're gonna keep it 0 because we don't wanna mess with the inventory tracking that we are already doing. So we're going to save it. That's fulfilled. So which means that we have already received everything. And now let's move back to here. And we have the desk. So I understood that the stock transfer was a little bit tricky. So let's do it again. Another stock transfer. Okay, let's just click new. We're going to select the item. We're just we can either just scroll down or scroll up like I did before. Or if you know the name of the product, we can just write it here, just desk. We have 20 units, I think so. That was the amount that I just purchased. Let's just, well, in this case, it doesn't make much sense to transfer a desk to someone, but let's just for the purpose of example, just kind of do it like we're gonna give a desk to Alicia. We just do it like this. We can add some remarks if you want to, some notes to the stock transfer. We can just save it here. Start transfer, which means it's like we're moving away the desk, one of the desks from our office to Alicia, and then Alicia just receive it. And we're gonna go back to the product and let's just update it here. And Alicia should have one. Desk, okay. I'm sorry for the image because sometimes it's a little bit slow to update because internet connection, it might be a little bit slow. Okay, right now we don't have the photo, perfect. So right now we can see that Alicia has one unity and the office has the 19 remaining ones, okay? So that would be pretty much regarding the stock transfer. We already, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I know we're doing serial numbers next. Roger's really curious about that one, and he's specifically looking into if we can make any notes or remarks to track the serial numbers of the devices. So I don't know if you want to do like the iPhones and show that.
We already, exactly, and you can add any comment that you want to during the process. So I pretty much created an iPhone, like, I don't know, imagine that you have to, I'm sorry, to give to your employees a phone. I didn't associate it or didn't move any Unity to any employee because I want to do it live. So pretty much I created as a serialized product. When we create a serialized product, we have to add the serial number. So we can either let inFlow automatically fulfill the serial numbers, or if we actually have it, we can just click here, we can add more information, and we can also set here on settings how to kind of have this already preset. So imagine that I want to, every time to start like this, I can set this up if I want to. In this case, I just ask inFlow or just click on inFlow to automatically generate the 20 serial numbers to the 20 unities. So anytime that I move a phone, a specific unity to an employee, I know that the 001 is now with Andrew, Alicia, or whoever has the phone right now. If that phone is, for some reason, goes back to the office, I know through the stock transfer that I now have that same product, that same phone, I'm sorry. And if I need at the second moment to move it again, I know that previously it was with Alicia or Andrew, then it went back to the office, and now it's with a third person. Does he have any specific question regarding the?
So with regards to notes and remarks, so there isn't an option to do a per serial number. You can add remarks in the extra info tab of the item. So if we go in there, there's a remarks field. So if you wanted to add specific information for different serial numbers, you can type in the serial number and add it in. But each serial number won't have its own specific page where you can add these remarks. So they will be all within that one item. Now, Eliano, I don't know if you could show us again, just to bring in a purchase order with a serialized good, show how to add the serial numbers through a purchase order, just so we can bring in maybe a few more iPhones into our inventory.
I was just say that you can actually add a remark if you want to add a remark to a specific phone. I think that the best way, or it would be the best way, or the easiest way at least, would be to add a remark on the stock transfer itself. If you imagine, like you have the iPhone which has the 0001, you want to add any remark to that specific unity, you know that you're gonna transfer that one because you have to select the serial here once you're doing the transfer. You can add that remark here, so you can actually kind of have it associated somehow to a specific unity. Okay, so let's then create a purchase order. Well, let me just close this so we don't get confused. So just click it here on iPhone. Imagine that we want to buy 3 or 5 more unities. Okay, this is blank. What I did before, that's why you saw 0001 and so on. We'll just click here, generate serials, okay? And this will continue after the last number because we had 20 unities, okay? So the next one will be 21, 22, 23, and so on, okay? Would be just pretty much it. I would just click here. Once this is kind of blacked, I don't know, gray out or something, you can actually be sure that the serial are added to the purchase order. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that you can also, when you don't have your serial numbers listed, inFlow won't let you continue to bring in the product because it is a serialized good. So anytime you have your item type as serialized, it will require you to put in a serial number. And if you ever need to double check, you can always click those three dots just next to quantity, and that's how you can check your serial numbers that have been added. You can verify through there. If you don't have your serial numbers, it also will show, I believe it's a red exclamation mark or a little red note that will notify you that your serial numbers haven't been entered.
Well, let me just try this.
And then Rodolfo's saying, so sometimes when you order phones, for example, you won't have the serial numbers until you get them. So until you get the items.
Exactly,
so with that, Rodolfo, in that case, what I would probably recommend is, so for example, Eliano, let's just put 5 and remove all the serial numbers.
You can then change it. I think so, if I'm not wrong. I think that you can actually change it after. Let me just.
Yeah, you can do that. Or if you close that, if you close those numbers right now, like take them out completely.
Everyone?
Yeah, every single number. And we're just going to save the purchase order.
Okay, let's save it.
Okay, and in this case, can you just double check to make sure that there's no serial numbers? I think it might have still recorded.
I think so somehow, because it's blacked out. So once it gets this color, usually it's because the serial number is associated. But let's do.
So I think it's just taking a few seconds. But yes, so you can save a purchase order. So when you create a purchase order for your items, you can save it without the serial numbers. And again, you'll see that little red exclamation mark. I think it just took a few seconds for it to show up. But you can enter the serial numbers after you've received it. It's just you won't be able to fulfill the purchase order, which means that you've brought in the items until you put in serial numbers. So you don't have to add them when you're placing that order. You can send this to your vendor without the serial numbers. It's just when you receive it, so when you fulfill it, you have to enter it. And that's when you will have your items on you and you will have those serial numbers. Now, I think we have a few more questions. What about random serial numbers received from the supplier? Again, you can either manually fill them in, so you don't have to get inFlow to generate the serial numbers. That's just an option when they follow a sequential pattern, or if you're creating serial numbers on the product. But if you get a random one, you can actually type in the vendors or the supplier's serial number. So you can do it either manually or have inFlow do it automatically. And then Jacob is asking, is a serial number from a manufacturer able to be used, or is it serialization generated only from inFlow? So I think that was the same as Nadim's question, is that, again, your serial numbers can be either manually inputted or automatically set up by inFlow. So you do have that choice. And then I think the last one so far we have, we got a couple more. Now, Wayne was asking, can serial numbers be uploaded from old system to inFlow, and what format is needed? So yes, you can bring that in through a stock transfer. So Eliano, I don't know if you want to just quickly show how you would export even just sorry, not a stock transfer, stock export. Stock levels export.
Oh, stock levels export.
So you go to general. So you go to main menu, general, export data. You can export your stock levels. So I would use this as a template. And then in the stock levels Excel, you can actually put your serial numbers. So it is an Excel format. You would just tell inFlow what item it is, which location it's going to, and then what serial numbers you have. And so each serial number would be a separate line within Excel. Zasheen, is there any option to add some direct cost which is associated with the product? For example, custom clearance charges or freight in. So if you have any costs associated to that purchase order, you would, Eliano just clicked on add shipping. And then you would have a freight field that pops up. So that can be any kind of freight charges that you have associated with that purchase order. And then you can also have non-vendor costs. So these are costs that you don't want showing up within your purchase order total, but these are going to be additional costs that you might incur when placing this order. So I hope that helps. And then I think Tamim is adding some links to our articles. So if you guys want to go check that out. And then Wayne is also asking, is there barcode option and does inFlow read 128 barcoding? So there is a barcode option. Now, if you're talking about the item barcode, you can put that on the item page. But if your serial number has a barcode, you can actually scan your serial number barcode when you're trying to input your serial numbers within the purchase order or when you're generating serials within the product page. You can scan a serial number barcode and it will bring in that serial number through your purchase order. So that is a fast way to do it if they already exist. Now, regarding the 128 barcoding, I'm not sure, just based on the naming of it, but I might be able to just search that up for you and then respond within the comments. Or I might get Tamim to check that out for me. But Roger was asking, can you show the non-vendor cost scenario? So can you just add in a non-vendor cost?
Let's just we can actually do it on percentage, but in this case, it doesn't make sense. Obviously, we have to actually put a value. I mean, it doesn't make sense because we had no price on the products. That's why I'm saying that it makes no sense to use percentage in this scenario, only in scenario in which you have cost associated. So let's put just $2 and just pretty much save it. We can also add freight cost as well if you want to, because the non-vendor cost won't appear on the balance because our non-vendor cost is the cost that you have regarding because of the purchase order, but not associated with. Let me just add here $2 as well. Any more questions?
I think Tamim is adding some more information about the non-vendor costs. So yes, if you guys are interested, you guys can check that out through that link that Tamim added in the chats. And then Nadeem asked, landed cost is automatically calculated and shows with freight charges. Here, let me just see. I think the message got cut off. So yes, so basically when your costs for the item are using the landed, so any kind of freight charges are calculated within your cost for that item. We're getting lots of questions. Thank you guys.
Meanwhile, just wanted to mention, so it might be useful for someone that before when I added the iPhone to the inventory, I already created a purchase order. So right now, automatically, I don't know if you noticed it, but when I click on buy, the vendor appeared here automatically because I have already set up and shows up here as the last vendor as well. Okay, just so you know, because some of you are new to inFlow.
Perfect. And we're going to keep moving on and then see if we can get back to some of these questions. And thank you to Tamim. She did say that, yes, code 128 will work for barcodes.
Okay, nice. So we already went through the purchase order. Serial would be pretty much it. I just want to mention, like I said in the beginning, if you want to set a reorder point, right now we have, I think, 30 something. Let me just, I'm not sure how many unities we have right now, 25. So let's imagine that once we only have 3 or 4 unities left, and let's imagine that once we have, let's imagine that once we only have 5 more unities, we want the inFlow to let us know that we need to reorder. So we can set a reorder point, and this applies to every product, okay? And let's just put here 6. Why 6? Because you always have to have 1 unit more. So the software, once it gets to the 5 unities, will let you know that you need to reorder more. I don't know if it's clear for everyone, but it's a trick that the software has. Let's imagine that once we only have 5 unities, we want the system to let us know that we should reorder 10 more. It would be just this. Okay. And regarding this first scenario, I think that would be pretty much it, because we already saw the movement history as well, the stock transfer. I don't know if you want to go through the repairing.
I think we can do it just quickly.
Yeah. Okay.
So, for example, we were discussing, let's say one of your items needs to be repaired. So, our iPhone, we brought them in, and one of our iPhones isn't working. So, we want to take it into the Apple Store, and we want to be able to repair it. So, we're actually going to use the sales order as a repair function. So, we're going to, in this case, sell.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to need you to click on it. So we're going to create a sales order. Perfect. And then within the sales order, Eliana's already created the customer as Apple. So we're going to put the repair shop as our customer. And we're also going to add in, we created a service within our items and services. And so we called it repair service. And so this is where, let's say they charged us $50. Now, again, with the $50, we know that that's the repair cost. We're going to leave the iPhone at $0 because, again, we're not selling it. We're going to be getting it back, but we're just sending it in for repairs. So we're going to save that, and then we're going to fulfill it. So by fulfilling it, we're sending it into the store. So once that's done, we're going to fulfill. And after it's been fulfilled, a couple days later, we're going to return the item back into our inventory. So we're going to click into it, and we're going to autofill, and we're going to make sure we select the same serial number that went out as our returned item. So in this case, we just, I don't know if Eliano, you want to double check which one it was?
I have to.
Yeah.
Let me just move the return service from here. And
So we're going to check within, again, which serial. So it's just 01. And we're going to make sure we return the same one. So 001. We can change the return date to a separate date if we wanted to. And in this case, we're going to save it once it's returned.
Yeah, 3 zeros. Yeah,
yep.
3 zeros.
Perfect. So we're going to save that. So we're in this process, we're making sure that we're sending out the correct serial number, and we're receiving the correct serial number back into our inventory. Now, when we fulfilled the order, or when we fulfilled the transfer to the repair, it deducted that stock from our inventory. Now, to bring it back, we just have to process the return. We actually have to restock it. So you can click on the little circle within the sales order and click on restocked, and that will bring the item back into your inventory. So now that serial number is available again. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Sorry, I'm just reading Jason. So barcoding with items, do you have a feature to handle item receiving, transfer, and returning using scanning barcode of item? We do, and we actually had a separate webinar that you can check out on our webinar page that explains how to, use the scanner to bring in items, sell items. It's pretty much the same process, but instead of you manually selecting your items, you just scan the barcode into the system, and it's going to be able to, again, receive, sell, and manage your inventory within inFlow. But yes, again, we do have a webinar already with barcoding, and we have another one coming up. So if you want to check that out, Javid, I think that might be helpful. Okay. Eliano, back to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that would be pretty much it. I don't know if anyone has more questions regarding this first scenario or not, or if we should move on to the next one. I think so.
I think we're good. I think most of the questions have been answered.
Okay, so pretty much this second scenario is pretty much whatever we have done so far, but with 2 small changes. This scenario created a company, Workoutsy, which would be pretty much a personal trainer, a company in which instead the customers, instead of going to the gym, the personal trainers are the ones who go to the customers' houses. So all the equipment that they have, the material, would be way more exposed to damage. So they need actually to manage costs of whatever they're buying, of the assets that they have. So we're going to use use examples of products with costs, and we're going to actually see as well how we can use some reports, inFlow reports, to keep track and get to know more about our assets. And besides that, we're going to go through a small customization of inFlow, just rename a field so you know that you can actually rename fields on inFlow and get the wording that you use within your company on inFlow if it's more easy for you to use the software. So let's move on to this example. And just pretty much what I just said. Okay, let's move on to this example. So here I've created already a few equipments. We have the workout mat, medicine balls, dumbbells, and you can see those are all stock products. Okay, I've already transferred stock to some personal trainers. I've created, I associated a cost, which was what we paid, so to speak, during the purchase order for each unity. And it's pretty much it. So right now, the first thing that we're going to do is rename a field. So you get to know that you can rename a lot of fields within inFlow. I'm sorry. So we'd go pretty much to the, once again, hamburger menu, options, settings, and then here we have rename fields, and we want to rename this specific one, this location, okay? Because we have a gym workout company, a gym, or however you want to put it. And instead of having location, we prefer to have a personal trainer has the label, so it's easier for us to get to know that Melanie and Martin work for us and they have that equipment. So let's search here for location. And here we have a location. So let's just put personal trainer and save it. And this just changes right away. Okay. Pretty much besides this, we can also change it in a different way just by clicking here with a right click here. I'm sorry. You click customize and you can just change it here. Okay. Just leads it right directly to that specific field. I'm sorry. So it would be pretty much it. We can change a lot of fields within inFlow. And there's a recent feature. I don't know if you notice. Here you have an icon that mentions that also applies to web app and mobile apps, which is pretty much that every time that you change a field that has this mark here, this orange mark, yeah, that change will also apply to the web app or to the mobile app. Okay, so that rename will also appear in one of the other apps. That would be pretty much regarding the rename fields. I just wanted to show you as well, because someone asked, I think so before, if we could buy with prices and costs. Here we can have an example. These are previous sales orders, purchase orders, I'm sorry. This is the iPhone, the desk, dumbbells. So this is pretty much everything that we bought for the gym. Here we have the costs, and if we want, that's unfulfilled. Okay, no, this is yeah, it's okay. No, actually, we're gonna just create a new purchase order. It's better. Let's click on new one, dumbbells. Let's put 5 more unities, and then we can just add 5 if you want to. Let's imagine 15, and just save it. So that would be pretty much. You must be okay. Sorry. Technogym was the vendor that I created. You can just save it, fulfill, okay, and we'll have 5 more unities added to our inventory. And it's pretty much it. I'm sorry, I don't know if you noticed, Office is the default location that is set on inFlow that I set before, and I didn't set up anything here. So let me just change it here. If I unfulfilled and I change it here, I can just select gym warehouse, save it, fulfill, configure, and now this will be updated. And I will actually no longer have office here. You can see that those unities went to gym warehouse. Okay.
And then we had one more question. So on mobile, does each person see what is issued to them as an asset? So yes, Wayne, if your users have a login, they'll be able to see how much stock is in each location, and so they'll be able to see how many units they have under their name. So yeah, that is visible as long as they have the access to inventory. And then yeah, I think.
No, go ahead.
No, that's it.
And besides that, it would be pretty much just note that you can also use inFlow and reports on inFlow to get to know more about your assets. Just for instance, let's see product order details. If we want to check, let me just generate one so you can see more details. It's easier. If we want to know more about whatever products that we bought, we can see here. This is pretty much when you open the reports, you'll get this information. Okay, by default, you have everything as all, whatever field it is. Okay, and then you can click more, and you can customize not only here but also here, whatever fields you want to show up. And on this report, I'm sorry, on purchase order details, we just selected to group them by category and group, so we can know that this one belongs to the previous example that we just showed. So we can see that the previous company, this Kate Ryder, bought shares, only has one purchase order. You can see it here, and we can see who was the vendor. It's fulfilled, the status. In this case, it doesn't have any amount associated because we didn't associate any amount to that previous company. But if we move forward to the gym, to the workout scene, we can actually see here the costs, and we can use that data to see how much we're spending on assets. We can actually, through different reports, see from what time to time we're purchasing such asset as well. So there's a lot of information that we can get out of the reports. I don't know. Let's just check a different one. Historical inventory details. Let me just see, because I've applied some filters to some of them. This is location. Okay, so let me just generate this one. Try to look up. Oh, okay, this one. Okay, this one might not make much sense to you today because we created a database from a few days ago, yesterday, and today we finished it. To be honest, and if we click here, we can have the inventory on a specific date. Okay, we just set yesterday, June 6th, and if we click here and just set it, oh wait, I'm sorry, target date. If we set it for today, we're going to see the differences. But for a company, you can actually have like an annual comparison if you want to, which is really good. So you can compare the usage of your assets, who has what asset, and whatever movements you have that asset had in the past. So that would be much it.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention one other thing. Wayne asked about mobile app transfers. So it would be the same thing. I know Tamim did say we had it, but I also just wanted to quickly show you that, yes, on the mobile app, again, I'm going to show it really horribly, but if you guys can see, if you go into the main menu, there will be a transfer stock button right at the bottom right here. So if we were to click on that, it would have, again, your from locations. So you would select which location it's coming from. So I have a few different names here. And then you would select where it's going to. So if it's going to the main warehouse, and then you would select what items you're adding. So again, mine is a little bit different because I'm adding different items. But again, that's how it looks. So it shows you what item it is, where it's coming from, who it's going to. And then at the bottom, you would just click transfer stock. So that's how you would do it on the phone. And so you could do transfer stock and adjust stock within the mobile app.
And we can just check a different report as well. If you want to see the location of each asset, we also have inventory by location. Here I just previously selected 4 products. Okay, are the workout products. We can just filter by category here as well. Let's just run the report. If you at some point of the day need to know where is the dumbbells or the medicine ball, you can just run this report and see whoever has those assets and the quantities as well. It's pretty much it. You can see that you're on the warehouse. You have 18 dumbbells, 13 medicine balls, and that Martin at this moment has 1 medicine ball and 1 dumbbell. So it's pretty much it. I don't know if you guys have more questions, if you want us to go through different scenarios or anything that you want us to repeat, any process, any step.
I was going to say one question that I get a lot from customers is, for example, in this case, it's a workout business. You have items, the item bands might break. So how would we record our inventory that's actually, we have to throw out? We're not selling this inventory. Nothing's happening with that. So I don't know if you want to show how you would process that on a sales order as we're throwing it out. And in that case, we can also then run a report afterwards to be able to see our, kind of profit lost within the item, because we're paying for the item, but we're not selling it. So we're losing value there. So again, Eliano is going to show us, he's going to create a sales order. Mm-hmm. And we're going to create a different customer. We're going to call it either, trash or discarded. Let's call it discarded. Okay. And we're going to click add new. And in this sense, you'll be able to actually run reports based on your discarded customer to see how many of your items have been discarded within a, you can set a different time span. We're actually going to keep it at 0. And in this case, once we save and we fulfill it, so we'll just save it. We're just going to say 1. No, quantity is going to be 1, but price is going to be 0 because we don't want any price associated to this. So we're going to click save, and then we're going to fulfill it. As soon as we fulfill it, it's going to remove that inventory from our quantity levels, and we'll know that we no longer have one of our resistance bands. And that's also going to help us keep track of, okay, if we've, broken a couple resistance bands, now our stock is going to go below the reorder point, and we're going to get that notification telling us we need to reorder those resistance bands, so we'll be able to place a purchase order. I hope that helps out, because I know, again, I've had this question a few times in the past. So in case you guys wanted to know, that is how you keep track of stock that is discarded.
So we previously had 15, so now we have the 14 unities.
Perfect. Any other questions, you guys? I know Tamim did mention our mobile scanner, so or smart scanner. I actually think I might have it, but do you have it? Yeah, Eliano, if you want to show it. It basically has the inFlow system within the smart scanner, and it has the scanner at the top and at the side or at the front. So it's just ease of scanning. You also have your buttons on the side. Eliano will show it, but you can scan your products in different ways, and it again connects with the system, so it's all done at once. Here, I don't know, Eliano, if you want to stop sharing your screen.
Yeah, I think so. Turn off.
Yeah, perfect. There we go. You'll see us a lot bigger now. But I don't know, do you have it on you right now?
Yeah, give me just a second, because I think that has no battery. I think so. I have to
Here, let me see if I think I might have mine. Give me just a moment.
As you can see, I'm just trying to connect it because it has no battery right now. You have your scanner.
And of course, mine is dead as well.
Yeah, you have here the scanner. You can see you have a button here, so you can just press to scan. The scanner right there. Whoops. And once you open it, it's pretty much like the app that we have that you can download. If you download the inFlow app, the companion app, I'm sorry, you can use. Let me just give me a few more seconds because I was just want to. I can actually try to use my database, and we can, if this works out, gives you an example to create a product with a barcode. I can just grab something and we can use and auto-populate the field, if you know what I mean. Just give me a second.
And Rodolfo is asking, when will we have a training for manufacturing environment? Oh, I think Tamim answered it before me. She's a ninja. So I think we're taking ideas for new webinars. So hopefully sometime in the future we'll be able to do it. And we already have a work orders and bill of materials webinar that we're having soon. So you guys can check that out, and that will have a lot of the same critical features for manufacturers. And then Wayne is asking, so can you scan barcode with your cell phone on app? You can. So it is slightly different just because the barcode scanner is more of a proper barcode scanner. You know, it's durable, you drop it, you know, it's meant for like warehouses and for just ease of scanning, because it does have the camera or the scanner at the top and at the back of it. With your phone, you know, you just have the back, and it might not always, like, it depends on like if your camera's clean and stuff like that. The barcode scanner is like a proper scanner. But yes, it does have pretty much the same features. So you can use your mobile app to do the same things as you would on your smart scanner. It's just up to you what your needs are for sure. Okay, and then Eliano, I don't know if it's charged yet.
Still 0%. So
I don't know. Again, I think we already had a webinar on our mobile scanners, but maybe we can show this the next time as well, how you can scan your barcode. But again, it is the same way. So if I were to go on my phone right now and I were to go into products, and so I'm going to create a new product. So I'm just going to click on that plus sign. I'm going to select my name. So in this case, what do I have around me? I have a book. So we're going to actually scan this book in. So I'm just actually going to call it a book. We're going to select it as a stocked product. And then if I want to add my barcode, we're going to go into this little scanning button. Oops, sorry, I'm just trying to click on it while showing you guys. So it's going to open up my camera. And then I'm going to scan the barcode. So, and you guys heard that click, and now my barcode is in there. So it's the same barcode that I had in my book. So now if I save this and I want to create a purchase order, so we're going to now go to our, purchase orders just down. Oh gosh, my webcam is not the best, but we're going to go into the purchase orders. And if I were to create a new purchase order, we're starting from scratch. We're going to select the vendor, and you can click on scan items. So if you click scan item, again, now that my item's already in my created in my inventory, I'm just going to scan it one more time, and I'm going to tap to scan. So scan item, and you're going to hear that click. And if I scan it multiple times, so I can have it, so if I keep scanning, it's going to keep increasing the quantity. And so I've scanned it 4 times, and we could see that there. And so now I'm bringing that in. So that's how you would use your barcode on your phone. Hope that helps out. Okay. Any other questions? Which brand barcode do you use for inFlow? I know it's an Android barcode. I don't know what brand exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an Android, but NFC, I think, is.
No, NFC is a different thing.
I think that might be the scanner. But yeah, it is an Android phone. It looks exactly like this. So it's a very, it's a very durable phone. I dropped this, and everything is fine with it. But especially the scanners, it's very easy to use, because this scanner right here is very helpful. You'll get a really good scan with that. Or again, depending on how you want to use it, you have both cameras within there. Okay, I think that's it for questions. This has been recorded, so we will post the recording of this on our YouTube channel and on our webinar page. So if you guys want to rewatch it, or if you weren't able to catch the whole thing, you can rewatch it on there. I think we usually have it up within 24 hours, and you'll also get sent a link to it if you've registered. But, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining us. And we'll maybe see you at our next webinar.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. See ya. Bye.